The emergency lights flashed red across the massive bridge of the flagship Stellar Dawn. Admiral Taijo stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gray skin looking even paler under the warning lights. 50 ships of the Galactic Alliance. Fleet hung motionless in the darkness of space, their engines dead. "Report," Admiral Taijo said, his voice calm despite the crisis. Commander Minji rushed to his side holding a data tablet. Her uniform was stained with oil and her short hair was messy from hours of working in the engine rooms. "All ships report the same problem, Admiral. The propulsion systems are completely fried. That radiation field we passed through did something to the core crystals. They're shattered, all of them." Admiral Taijo closed his eyes briefly. "How many people are on this fleet, Commander?" 342,000, sir. Plus the civilians. The civilians. Thousands of families who had been rescued from the outer colonies. They had been running for so long and now they were stuck. "Life support status?" the Admiral asked. "Emergency systems are working for now. But we have maybe 3 months before things get bad." The Admiral walked to the main viewport. Stars shone brightly around them, beautiful but uncaring. They were in an uncharted region far from Alliance space. No help would come. "Sir," called out a young communications officer, "we're picking up signals, radio waves. Very primitive, but definitely artificial." "Source?" Taijo asked, hope flickering in his eyes. "The third planet of the nearby star system. The signals are crude, television broadcasts, radio chatter, but they indicate intelligent life." Admiral Taijo and Commander Minji exchanged looks. The Alliance had strict rules about contacting developing worlds. Making contact with a pre-spacefaring civilization could earn them severe punishment. But with thousands of lives at stake, what choice did they have? "Bring up all information we have on this system," Taijo ordered. A holographic display appeared showing a blue and green planet. Designation Earth. Oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere. Carbon-based life forms. Technology level. Early space exploration. Pre-FTL. Last surveyed 50 cycles ago, the computer reported. "They might have advanced since then," Minji suggested. Admiral Taijo nodded slowly. "Prepare a scout ship. We need to know if they can help us." Lieutenant Do Yun volunteered immediately when the call went out. At 32, he was young for his rank, but his skills as a pilot were unmatched. He was joined by Subin, the fleet's best xenobiologist, and Hyejin, a skilled diplomat. "This mission is dangerous and controversial," Admiral Taijo told them in the launch bay. "If the Alliance finds out, we will all face consequences, but 300,000 lives depend on you." "We understand, sir," Do Yun said, standing tall. "We won't fail." Their small scout ship left the disabled fleet behind, accelerating toward the blue planet. The journey would take 3 days at sublight speeds. During that time, they studied all available information about Earth and its inhabitants. "Fascinating," Subin said, examining the data. "These humans are much more similar to us than our records suggested. Bipedal, similar emotional responses, family structures. Their technology is primitive but creative. They're also divided," Hyejin noted with concern. "Multiple nations, ongoing conflicts, no unified planetary government. That could make diplomacy challenging," Do Hyun agreed. "Who do we even talk to?" As they approached Earth, they began intercepting more detailed transmissions. News broadcasts, internet signals, and communications from a space station orbiting the planet. "They've advanced faster than expected," Subin said, surprised. "They have a lunar colony, primitive fusion power, and the beginnings of a Mars settlement." "Still nowhere near what we need," Do Hyun replied grimly. "But maybe they have the resources to help us create new propulsion crystals." The scout ship entered Earth's orbit carefully, using stealth technology to avoid immediate detection, but they knew they couldn't stay hidden for long. "We need to make contact," Hyejin decided. "On their terms, as peaceful as possible." Captain Elena Rodriguez was monitoring routine satellite traffic when the alarm sounded. Something large had appeared in orbit, something that wasn't there a minute ago. "Get me visual," she ordered her team at United Earth Space Command headquarters in Geneva. The screen showed a sleek vessel unlike any human spacecraft. Its surface shimmered with an almost liquid-like metal. "Is it broadcasting?" she asked. Yes, ma'am, her communications officer replied. They're sending a simple message in multiple Earth languages, text only. The message appeared on screen. We come in peace, we need help. Request permission to communicate. Global panic erupted within hours. News of the alien ship spread across Earth like wildfire. Government leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Military forces went on high alert. Civilians alternated between fear and excitement. Captain Rodriguez was selected to establish initial communication because of her calm demeanor and experience with first contact protocols, which until now had been purely theoretical. This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of Earth Space Command. We receive your message. Please identify yourselves and state your purpose. After a brief delay, a response came back. We are representatives of the Galactic Alliance, a peaceful federation of worlds. Our fleet is stranded nearby. We request a meeting to discuss possible assistance. 3 days later, the scout ship landed in Seoul, South Korea. The location had been chosen as neutral ground after lengthy negotiations. Massive security surrounded the landing site. World leaders waited in a nearby conference center. Lieutenant Do-hyun was the first to exit the ship. He blinked in the bright sunlight, his gray skin and large eyes marking him clearly as non-human. Subin and Hyejin followed close behind. They were escorted to the conference center by Captain Rodriguez and an international security team. Humans lined the streets, held back by barriers, staring in wonder and fear at the visitors. You look very similar to us, Rodriguez commented as they walked. Is that common among intelligent species? Convergent evolution, Subin explained. Similar environments often produce similar adaptations. Inside the conference room, world leaders from major nations waited. The aliens were given seats at a large round table. Welcome to Earth, said the Secretary General of the United Nations. Your arrival has caused quite a stir, as you can imagine. We apologize for the disruption, Hyejin said. Under normal circumstances, we would not have revealed ourselves to a developing world. Our laws forbid it. Then why did you? Asked the President of the United States. Lieutenant Do-hyun leaned forward. Because we are desperate. Our fleet of 50 ships is stranded 2 light days from here. 342,000 people, including many families with children. Our propulsion systems were damaged beyond repair by an unusual radiation field. Without help, life support will fail in less than 3 months. Murmurs spread through the room. What kind of help could we possibly offer to beings who can travel between stars? Asked the Chinese premier skeptically. Your technology took a different path than ours, Subin explained. You might have solutions we haven't considered, and you have resources we need to fabricate replacement parts. Or this could be the first step in an invasion, said the Russian president. How convenient that such an advanced fleet is suddenly helpless. We understand your suspicion, Hyejin said calmly. We invite you to send a team to verify our situation. We have nothing to hide. The debate lasted for hours. Some leaders wanted nothing to do with the aliens. Others saw an opportunity for humanity to prove itself on a galactic stage. In the end, a vote was taken. By a narrow margin, Earth's governing council decided to send an exploratory mission to assess the alien fleet's condition. We will help if we can, Captain Rodriguez told the aliens, but we will proceed with caution. As they left the conference, Do-hyun looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, the fleet waited in darkness. For the first time in weeks, he felt a glimmer of hope. Do you think they can really help us? Subin asked quietly. I don't know, Do-hyun replied. But they're our only chance. 2 weeks passed quickly. Earth's best minds worked day and night to prepare for the mission to the alien fleet. They gathered supplies, prepared equipment, and selected the crew. The UES Pathfinder, Earth's most advanced spaceship, was chosen for the journey. Though small compared to the alien vessels, it was humanity's pride, a fusion-powered craft capable of reaching 10% of light speed. Commander Ji-won stood on the launch platform, watching the final preparations. At 42, she had spent her life training for space exploration. But nothing had prepared her for this mission. No human had ever traveled so far from Earth. "Commander, all systems are ready," reported Engineer Young-Soo. He was 35 with quick hands and an even quicker mind. "The new engines are performing better than expected." "Good," Commander Ji-won nodded. "And our guests?" "Lieutenant, Do-hyun is already aboard. He seems anxious to return to his people." The Earth expedition team included 20 crew members. Besides Commander Ji-won and Engineer Young-Soo, there was Gina, an expert in alien cultures, and Security Chief Dae-hyun, with 6 trained officers. The rest were medical staff, scientists, and engineers. Captain Rodriguez approached Commander Ji-won on the platform. "The world is watching this mission," she said. "The Security Council has made their expectations clear. Verify their story, offer humanitarian aid if needed, but make no long-term promises on behalf of Earth." "I understand," Commander Ji-won said. "We'll be careful." An hour later, the Pathfinder lifted off. The powerful engines pushed the crew back into their seats as the ship climbed through Earth's atmosphere. Lieutenant Do-hyun sat quietly, his large eyes fixed on the viewing screen. "Are you okay?" Gina asked him. "I'm worried about what we'll find," Do-hyun admitted. "It's been 2 weeks. In space with failing systems, that's a long time." Once clear of Earth's gravity, the Pathfinder accelerated to its maximum speed. The journey would take 4 days. Engineer Young-Soo spent much of the trip talking with Do-hyun about alien technology. He was fascinated by the differences between their approaches to space travel. "Your crystals create energy fields that bend space?" Young-Soo asked, eyes wide with excitement. "Yes," Do-hyun explained. "They allow us to travel faster than light without the problems your physics predicts." "Amazing. Our approach is much more direct. Brute force, you might say." As the journey continued, the human crew learned more about the Galactic Alliance. It included 17 different species across hundreds of worlds. Do-hyun's people, the Nalari, were among the founding members. "How many other species have you contacted?" Gina asked during a meal. "Hundreds," Do-hyun said. "But we have strict rules. We only make official contact once a civilization develops faster than light travel on their own. Your world is an exception because of our emergency." Security Chief Dae-hyun remained suspicious. "And your fleet just happened to break down near our solar system?" "We didn't choose to break down," Do-hyun said calmly. "But yes, we were mapping this sector when we encountered the radiation field. We knew Earth was nearby, which gave us hope." On the 4th day, Commander Ji-won called everyone to the bridge. "We're approaching the coordinates, dropping out of acceleration now." The view screen showed empty space at first. Then, as the sensors adjusted, massive shapes appeared. 50 enormous vessels floating silently against the backdrop of stars. The human crew stared in amazement. Each alien ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built in space. The flagship alone was the size of a small city. The designs were elegant, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. "Those are incredible, Engineer," Young-Soo whispered. Do-hyun smiled with pride, but his expression quickly turned sad. "And now they're just drifting hulks." As they approached, they could see the damage more clearly. Some ships had visible dark sections where power had failed completely. Others showed signs of makeshift repairs. "Flagship Stellar Dawn. This is Lieutenant Do-hyun returning with the Earth vessel Pathfinder," Do-hyun called over the communication system. After a moment of silence, a tired voice responded. "Lieutenant, this is Commander Minji. Welcome back. We were starting to worry." The Pathfinder was guided to a docking bay in the flagship. The human crew put on their spacesuits as a precaution, though Do-hyun assured them the air was safe to breathe. When the airlock opened, they were met by a group of Nalari officers. Like Do-hyun, they had gray skin and large eyes, but many looked thin and tired. Admiral Taijo stepped forward. Despite the crisis, he maintained a dignified presence. "Welcome to the Stellar Dawn," he said with a formal bow. "On behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I thank you for coming." Commander Ji-won returned the bow. "On behalf of Earth, we are here to help if we can. The humans were given a tour of the flagship. They saw massive halls, living quarters for thousands of families, and engineering sections filled with technology beyond human understanding. But they also saw the signs of a desperate situation. Crowded areas where people from multiple ships had been gathered to share resources, makeshift medical centers, and dark corridors where power had been cut to save energy. In the main engineering room, Commander Minji showed Engineer Young-Soo the damaged propulsion systems. The crystals shattered at the molecular level, she explained, pointing to what looked like large blue stones now covered with tiny cracks. They can't be repaired, and we don't have the facilities to grow new ones. Young-Soo examined the systems carefully. Your technology is far advanced from ours, but maybe that's an advantage. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps. What do you mean? Minji asked. You've developed your technology along certain paths for centuries, but we've been working on different approaches. Maybe we can combine our knowledge. Later, Commander Ji-won met with Admiral Taejo in his command center to discuss Earth's assistance. We can offer temporary shelter on Earth for those most at risk, Ji-won proposed, and we'll provide whatever supplies we can spare while we work on a more permanent solution. The Admiral's eyes showed deep emotion. Your generosity is unexpected. Many advanced civilizations would see us only as competition or a threat. Humans know something about facing disasters, Ji-won replied. We've learned that we survive best by working together. That evening, Gina found herself talking with Diplomat Heejin in one of the ship's observation rooms. Through the large window, stars shone brightly. Your people took a great risk coming here, Gina said. The Alliance laws seem strict about contacting developing worlds. Heejin looked away. Yes, but we had little choice. Was your fleet really just on a scientific mission? There seemed to be many civilians aboard. There was a long pause before Heejin answered. Not entirely, but some truths are difficult to share upon first meeting. Before Gina could ask more questions, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Engineer Young-Soo's voice came over the communication system. Commander Ji-won, I think we've done it. We found a way to restore power to one of the ships. The news spread quickly through the fleet. Young-Soo had created a bypass system using Earth's primitive fusion technology combined with salvaged parts from multiple Alliance ships. It wasn't elegant, but early tests showed it might work. As engineers from both species gathered to implement the solution, a sense of hope spread through the fleet for the first time in weeks. But the celebration was cut short when an emergency transmission from Earth reached them. Commander Ji-won, Captain Rodriguez's face appeared on the screen, her expression grave. Our deep space monitors have detected several unknown objects entering the solar system. They're moving fast on a direct course to your position. Admiral. Taejo's face darkened. They've found us, he whispered. What do you mean, they've found us? Commander Ji-won asked, looking from Admiral Taejo to the screen showing Captain Rodriguez's worried face. The Admiral's shoulders slumped slightly. It's time you knew the truth. Our fleet isn't just a scientific mission. We're refugees. The command center grew quiet. Even the beeping of instruments seemed muted. The objects approaching are warships of the Voidborn, Taejo continued. They've been hunting Alliance vessels across the galaxy for the past year. Security Chief Daehyun stepped forward. So you led them straight to Earth? You've endangered our entire planet. We had no choice, Commander Minji said. And we hoped they wouldn't track us through the radiation field that disabled us. Admiral, Taejo activated a holographic display showing the approaching ships, 7 massive black vessels that seemed to absorb the light around them. The Voidborn appeared at the edges of Alliance space without warning, he explained. They destroy everything in their path. 17 worlds have already fallen. This fleet carries the survivors from 3 of those worlds. Over 1 million. Civilians. Why didn't you tell us this before? Ji-won asked. The Alliance keeps the war secret from developing worlds to prevent panic, Heejin explained. There are thousands of young civilizations like yours. If they all knew about the Voidborn threat, how long until they arrive? Engineer Young-Soo asked, always focused on practical matters. 36 hours at their current speed. Minji answered. Ji-won paced the room. We need to return to Earth immediately, warn our people, prepare defenses. It won't help, Admiral Taijo said sadly. The Voidborn will simply follow you and destroy Earth too. Their only interest is complete elimination of all other life forms. The room erupted into argument. Some of the Earth crew wanted to flee. Others argued they should stay and help. The aliens watched with sad understanding. I volunteer to take the scout ship back to Earth with warnings, Lieutenant Doyun said, stepping forward. The Pathfinder should stay here. Together we might have a chance. Commander Ji-won considered this. Agreed. But what chance do we really have? Your entire fleet is disabled, and the Pathfinder alone can't fight 7 warships. Everyone fell, silent, trying to think of a solution. Then Engineer Young-soo looked up, his eyes wide with sudden inspiration. The radiation field? What about it? Minji asked. The same field that disabled your ships might affect the Voidborn vessels too. Young-soo explained, speaking faster as his idea took shape. We can't move your fleet away from danger, but maybe we can bring the danger to a stop. How? Admiral, Taijo asked. We reconfigure your damaged propulsion systems. Instead of using them for movement, we turn them into massive radiation emitters. We create an artificial version of the field that stranded you. Commander Minji's expression changed from doubt to hope. It might work. The crystal fragments still contain enormous energy. If we reverse the polarity and link them together across multiple ships, we could create a radiation wave large enough to hit their entire fleet, Young-soo finished. Admiral Taijo straightened his shoulders. Then we have work to do. The next 36 hours were a blur of activity. Lieutenant Do-hyun departed for Earth in the scout ship, carrying urgent messages and data about the Voidborn. Aboard the Alliance fleet, teams of humans and aliens worked together, racing against time. Engineer Young-soo and Commander Minji led the effort, converting damaged propulsion systems into makeshift radiation emitters. Will this really work? Gina asked as she helped carry equipment between ships. In theory, yes, Young-soo replied, not looking up from his work. But we've never done anything like this before. Neither has the Alliance. And if it fails? Young-soo finally stopped working and looked at her. Then we gave it our best shot. Security Chief Dae-hyun and his team helped the aliens move civilians to the most protected ships. With over 1 million refugees spread across the fleet, it was an enormous task. Your people have suffered greatly, Dae-hyun said to an alien elder, as he helped her family find space on a more secure vessel. Yes, she nodded, but we still have hope, especially now that we've met humans. Hours before the Voidborn arrived, Admiral Taijo called a meeting with Commander Ji-won and the key team members. The radiation emitters are in place, he announced, but we can only activate them when the Voidborn ships are close enough to be caught in the field. Which means we have to endure their initial attack, Commander Ji-won noted. Yes, some ships will be lost. I've moved as many people as possible to the core vessels. Ji-won looked at her crew. I want all Earth personnel on the Pathfinder. We can use our ship's greater maneuverability to draw their fire, buying time for the trap to be set. I'm staying here, Engineer Young-soo said firmly. Someone needs to make final adjustments to the emitters when the Voidborn arrive. Their ship designs might require last-minute changes to our calculations. Several other humans also volunteered to stay on different Alliance vessels. Gina would remain on the flagship with Hyejin. 2 of Dae-hyun's security officers joined other ships to help coordinate. As the Voidborn fleet approached, a strange calm fell over the Alliance vessels. They had done all they could. Now they waited. The Voidborn ships emerged from the darkness like nightmares made real. Massive black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their surfaces had no visible windows or markings, only strange geometric patterns that hurt the eyes if watched too long. They're hailing us, Hyejin reported from the communication station. Put it through, Admiral Taijo ordered. The screen filled with a being unlike anything the humans had seen before. It appeared to be made of shifting shadows, with glowing points where eyes might be. Surrender and your deaths will be quick, the being said, its voice oddly flat. Resistance is purposeless. Admiral Tejo cut the transmission without responding. They always say the same thing, he told the shocked humans. They've never accepted surrender anyway. The first attack came moments later. Beams of dark energy shot from the void-born ships, striking 3 Alliance vessels on the fleet's edge. The ship's shields flared briefly before failing completely. In seconds, the vessels exploded into silent fireballs. Thousands of people, Gina whispered in horror. Focus, Hyejin said gently. We need to spring the trap. The Pathfinder darted between the void-born ships, drawing their fire with its superior speed and maneuverability. Commander Jiwan's piloting skills kept them just ahead of the deadly beams. On the Alliance flagship, Engineer Youngsu worked frantically with Commander Minji, adjusting the radiation emitters as they gathered data. On the Voidborn technology, their ships are absorbing energy from our shields, Youngsu noted. We need to modulate the radiation frequency to match their absorption rate, then overload it. 2 more Alliance ships were destroyed. The remaining fleet formed a defensive circle, concentrating their shield power. We're losing too many vessels, Admiral Tejo said grimly. We need to activate the emitters now. Just a few more seconds, Youngsu replied, his fingers flying over the control panel. There. Ready. Admiral Tejo gave the command. Activate all emitters. Across the surviving Alliance ships, the reconfigured propulsion systems powered up. Blue energy gathered at focal points, then burst outward in a rippling wave that washed over the battlefield. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the void-born ships began to drift. Their weapons fell silent. Their engines flickered and died. It worked, Minji exclaimed. They're disabled. Cheers erupted across the Alliance fleet. But the victory was bittersweet. The energy required to create the radiation field had burned out the makeshift repairs on the Alliance vessels, leaving them just as stranded as before, but now with an immobilized enemy fleet nearby. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Tejo turned to Commander Jiwan. We've stopped them for now, but they will repair their ships eventually, just as we are trying to repair ours. It's a temporary solution. Lieutenant Do-yun is already on his way to Earth, Jiwan said. He'll deliver our message and request for help. But will your people be willing to help now? Tejo asked. Now that they know the truth about the war we've brought to your doorstep? Jiwan looked out at the stars, thinking of her home planet, beautiful, vulnerable, and still innocent of the wider galaxy's dangers. I don't know, she answered honestly. Humanity must now decide whether to truly commit to helping strangers, knowing it means entering an interstellar war. As if in response, the communication system activated. Lieutenant Do-yun's face appeared, his expression urgent. Commander Jiwan, Admiral Tejo, I've reached Earth and delivered the message. Earth's leaders are already meeting. But there's something you should know. What is it? Jiwan asked. They're not debating whether to help. They're debating how quickly they can send a fleet. Do-hyun's voice filled with wonder. Commander, they've already started converting ships, manufacturing weapons, gathering volunteers. Earth is coming. 3 months later, an unusual sight appeared against the backdrop of stars. Not one ship, but 50 vessels of human design approached the stranded fleets. Leading them was a ship twice the size of the original Pathfinder, now bearing the name Earth Hope. Admiral Jiwan stood on the bridge of the new flagship. She had been promoted after returning to Earth to help coordinate the massive effort. Through the viewport, she could see the disabled Alliance vessels, and beyond them, the dark shapes of the void-born ships. Status report, she requested. All 50 ships reporting ready, Admiral, her first officer responded. Repair teams, supplies, and defense systems are prepared for deployment. Admiral Jiwan nodded. In 3 short months, Earth had accomplished what many would have thought impossible. Every nation had worked together, pooling resources and knowledge. The plans for the new ships had been created by combining human ingenuity with Alliance technical knowledge, shared by the refugees now living on Earth. Engineer Youngsu, who had returned to Earth on the Pathfinder, was now the chief science officer of the human fleet. He had spent weeks studying the Alliance technology, working with human and alien scientists to develop defenses against the Voidborn. "We're being hailed by the Alliance flagship," the communications officer announced. "On screen," Jiwan ordered. "Admiral." Tejo's face appeared. He looked tired, but his eyes lit up at the sight of Jiwan. "Admiral Jiwan, welcome back. I must say, we did not expect such a substantial response from Earth." "We don't abandon people in need," Jiwan replied simply. "How are conditions with your fleet?" "Deteriorating," Taijo admitted. "The Voidborn have managed basic repairs to their systems. They've established a perimeter around us and launch occasional attacks. We've lost 2 more ships." "And your civilians?" "Safe. For now. We've concentrated all power on maintaining shields, but we're running out of resources." Jiwan nodded. "We'll begin relief operations immediately. Our ships carry supplies and repair teams. But most importantly, we've developed new technology based on your radiation emitters that allows our vessels to move safely through the affected space." For the first time in months, hope showed clearly on Taiho's face. "You've solved the propulsion problem?" "Not completely," Youngsu said, stepping into view. "But we've created shields that can protect against the radiation. It's not perfect, but it works." The human fleet broke through the Voidborn blockade using their new shielding technology. They created corridors through the enemy formation, delivering supplies and repair teams to the Alliance vessels. The Earth ships were smaller than either the Alliance or Voidborn vessels, but they were fast and maneuverable. Their crews consisted of volunteers from every nation on Earth, pilots, engineers, doctors, and soldiers, all willing to risk their lives for people they had never met before. Aboard the Alliance flagship, Minji worked with a human repair team to restore basic functions to the propulsion system. "Your solution is unusual," she commented, watching the humans install equipment. "Sometimes the simplest approach works best," the team leader replied. "We couldn't recreate your crystal technology, so we adapted what we know." In the main medical bay, human doctors worked alongside alien healers, treating those who had been injured during the long standoff. Among them was Gina, who had remained behind with several other humans when the Pathfinder returned to Earth. "Your people came back for us," Yejin said as she helped distribute supplies. "Many species would have decided the risk was too great." "That's not who we are," Gina replied. "Besides, we couldn't leave our friends behind." The Voidborn watched the human relief efforts for 3 days without major action. Then, as if reaching a decision, all 7 of their ships powered up at once. "They're launching a full assault," the tactical officer on the Earth Hope shouted. Admiral Jiwan immediately ordered her fleet into defensive positions. "Protect the Alliance vessels at all costs. Deploy countermeasures." The Voidborn attack was unlike anything the humans had trained for. Beams of dark energy lashed out, capable of cutting through standard shields. Several human ships took direct hits, their hulls breaching instantly. But the humans fought back with unexpected effectiveness. Their primitive weapons, enhanced missiles and projectile weapons, proved strangely effective against Voidborn defenses that were designed to stop energy weapons. Admiral Jiwan directed the battle from the Earth Hope, coordinating with Admiral Taijo. "Their shields are calibrated to absorb energy," she realized. "That's why our physical projectiles are getting through." On Jiwan's command, the human fleet switched tactics, launching volleys of missiles at the Voidborn ships. The explosions created gaps in the enemy shields. Security Chief Daehyun led a daring mission. While the Voidborn were focused on the missile attacks, his team took a small, fast ship directly to one of the enemy vessels. Using cutting tools designed by engineer Youngsu, they breached the hull and entered the ship. "We need to capture intact technology," Daehyun told his team, "and if possible data about their capabilities and plans." The interior of the Voidborn ship was dark and confusing. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the air felt thick and unnatural. The team moved quickly, fighting off shadow-like defenders that seemed more energy than matter. They reached what appeared to be a control center. As Voidborn forces closed in, Daehyun's team downloaded what data they could and collected several small devices before retreating to their ship. The mission succeeded, but at a cost. Two of Daehyun's team were lost in the escape, and he himself was badly injured. The battle raged for hours. 3 human ships were destroyed, and 1 Alliance vessel that had regained partial power was badly damaged. But the combined human Alliance forces finally gained the upper hand. 2 Voidborn ships were completely disabled, and the others began to retreat. "Don't let them escape," Admiral Taejo urged. "If they report back, they'll bring reinforcements." The human fleet pursued the fleeing Voidborn ships, herding them back into the radiation field. Caught between the weapons fire and the disabling radiation, the remaining Voidborn vessels went dark. In the aftermath, Admiral Jiwon stood in the medical bay of the Earth Hope, looking down at the injured Daehyun. "Your team did well," she told him. "The data and technology you recovered will help us understand our enemy better." "Was it worth it?" Daehyun asked weakly. "The lives we lost? That's not for me to say," Jiwon replied honestly. "But I know that what we did here today saved millions." 1 week later, with the immediate threat neutralized and repairs well underway, Admiral Taejo invited Admiral Jiwon to the Alliance flagship for a formal meeting. The Great Hall had been prepared for an important ceremony. As Jiwon entered with her officers, she was surprised to see representatives from all the Alliance species standing in formation. Admiral Taejo stood in the center wearing formal attire. "Admiral Jiwon," Taejo began, his voice carrying through the hall. "The Council of the Galactic Alliance has reviewed the events of recent months. Today, I am authorized to offer Earth full membership in the Alliance, an unprecedented step for a species at your development stage." Murmurs spread through the human delegation. Membership in the Alliance would give humanity access to technologies and knowledge centuries beyond their current level. "Why would you offer this?" Jiwon asked. "We haven't achieved faster than light travel on our own. Your laws can be changed when circumstances warrant," Taejo replied. "Your people have demonstrated not just technological ingenuity, but moral courage. When faced with a threat not of your making, you chose to help strangers without guarantee of reward." He stepped forward, holding a crystal emblem. "This is more valuable to the Alliance than any technological achievement. It is the foundation on which our Federation was built and which the Voidborn seek to destroy. The willingness to see value in all life, not just your own." Jiwon accepted the emblem, holding it carefully. "I cannot speak for all of Earth, but I believe we would be honored to join your Alliance. Together, we can face the Voidborn threat." The ceremony continued with the raising of Earth's flag alongside the Alliance banner. As the 2 flags hung side by side, Admiral Jiwon found herself standing next to Youngsu, Gina, and Daehyun, who had insisted on attending despite his injuries. "Do you think we're ready for this?" Gina asked quietly. "No," Jiwon admitted. "But I don't think anyone ever is. We'll learn as we go, just like we always have." Youngsu nodded. "And we have something to offer them too. Our different approach to technology helped solve a problem their advanced science couldn't fix." "It's more than that," Daehyun said, leaning on his crutch. The Alliance had started to lose hope. Sometimes the most important thing isn't technology or strength, but the willingness to help when it's needed most. Throughout the galaxy, the story spread of how a young species, barely spacefaring, had saved a mighty civilization in its darkest hour. On 100 worlds, children learned the tale of Earth's first contact with the Alliance and how it changed the course of the war against the Voidborn. The story would become legend, and its name among the stars would simply be Humanity, Support, Received. But for Admiral Jiwon, standing on the observation deck of the Earth Hope and watching the combined fleet prepare to return to Earth, it wasn't about legends or glory. It was about the simple truth that had guided human progress through